everybody was just so great. And he said that mom and dad obviously so happy.
Well, speaking of Parker Ford, let's hear your conversation with him, which happened moments ago.
Road trip for you, Parker. Have you come down from the emotions yet of what that 3-game trip was like, but especially, obviously, that first game in Boston?
Yeah, definitely. It was pretty wild there for 24, 48 hours, but more settled in now that we're home, and it's good to sleep in my own bed and get some good meals in me. But yeah, definitely an emotional time for me and my family.
You said right after the game that you felt as if you almost blacked out after the goal. Have you gone back and watched it? How many times has it maybe even been sent to you?
Yeah, I watched the replay, and I didn't even realize I hit it out of the air. So that was news to me when I watched the video. But it was just super cool. Gave me the chills watching it.
Describe for us what your phone was like afterwards. I imagine it blew up.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever gotten that much love from everyone I know. So it was cool to see just people reaching out and catching up with a couple people I haven't talked to in a while. And it's cool to see how much support you have.
You've played in Canada Life for a number of years now, but what is it that you're looking forward to most about this game here tonight?
I'm just excited to play in front of the fans.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple Jets games in the stands, and it's just a super cool atmosphere. And I'm excited for the fans to see me play and just show them what I got.
Okay, so what have you got for fans tonight, do you think?
Lots of energy. I'll be moving, playing physical and just doing the little things right. And, having fun.
For you, what's been the key to trying to adjust early on to the NHL game?
Yeah, I think it's just really playing simple and not thinking too much, just letting my instincts take over and playing with that energy, like I said.
Fans are looking forward to it. Thanks so much for the time, Parker.
Thanks, Sarah.
We're going to be with Parker Ford, a big story over the weekend. Another big story before we get to Frank Saravalli here momentarily. Mark Scheifele, 1 goal away from becoming the franchise's all-time leader. He's going to pass Ilya Kovalchuk. Gets 2 shots at it here in the building. It's game 55 of the season for number 55. Huh? Journalism.
I don't know if it's journalism, but it's certainly, I like it.
Yeah, thank you. I do pay attention sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah, it'll be perfect if he gets it.
You're just stunned that I came up with something.
To be honest, I am.
I'm very astute today.
Did you know it was game 55 before I said it off the top of the show?
No.
Okay.
I just guessed. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, no more guessing going on. And a guy that never guesses at anything is our next guest from Daily Faceoff. He is Frank Saravalli joining us from America. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. So good to be with you guys.
Thanks so much for doing this, Frank. Miss being able to do different hits with you, and we don't get to catch up the same way that we used to. But Frank and I shared many laughs, especially in that 2018 playoff run. So he is well versed in the Winnipeg Jets.
We saw a lot of Frank in 2018. I have not seen a lot of him since. So it's just like
it's because of the first round exits. This is the year, though, Frank. You're coming back.
Yeah,
I'm ready to come back. I just looking at the standings before I joined you guys, 8 points clear of the next closest team in the West. Everyone wants to talk about how great the Dallas Stars have been since Christmas. Why aren't the Jets getting as much love?
Well, there you go.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you.
And this is why you will be back joining us this spring, which we're looking forward to. One of the things, let's get right into it, Frank, is that with the trade deadline coming up, obviously we've seen a number of trades already happen that have really shaken up the NHL. With your new trade list that went out on Daily Faceoff, Brock Nelson leading the way. We're going to see him in theory. He hasn't been traded on Friday when the New York Islanders are in town. Why is he the number one on your list? And what do you think he could be going for on the trade market?
Well, he's the premier rental center available. So my guess would be that it would be a pretty significant package that would be coming the New York Islanders' way. And I know they've recently won 7 straight games, but you look at this injury to Matthew Barzal, who very likely now could be out for the remainder of the regular season. And you look at the more historical struggles of this team over the course of this year, not just one moment in time where they've played well. I think the New York Islanders are a pretty long way away from being a team that is a firm playoff team and one that could do damage. And I think this presents an opportunity for Lou Lamoriello and this organization to, not just with Brock Nelson, but also with Kyle Palmieri. And, you could add in a Jean-Gabriel Pageau or some other names on that list. The Islanders need a fresh start. They need to move on and to change out this core and change it up. So the best way to do that and to try and find your next group of difference makers is to utilize what you have right in front of you and take advantage of this opportunity. So, I think Brock Nelson is a fascinating name for the Winnipeg Jets. And I know that isn't necessarily why you asked, but I think as a second line center option, he'd present a real strong case. And look, I think another team just south of you guys, the Minnesota Wild, would be on the list of teams that would be interested. But look, he's a War Road Minnesota kid. The Wild would make a lot of sense. But as I point out to everyone, geography being my specialty, War Road Minnesota is closer to Winnipeg than it is to St. Paul. So I would have to think if the Jets were one of those teams that would be in the mix, that it wouldn't necessarily be with all the cap space that the Jets have. He could be one of those guys that you could have a candidate to re-sign if you were to go out and get him.
Well, also, I mean, Winnipeg does have the Minnesota Mafia.
Yeah.
It evolves a little bit season to season, but there's always a heavy Minnesota contingent here.
I know your trade target board is large and always in flux, Frank, but is there any other fits that you see on your list that could be, do some great things for the Jets? And I know it's a very broad question.
Well, I'd just love to see the Jets find someone that could be there for a bit. And so whether it's Nelson as a re-sign candidate, or if you were to go out and get someone like a Pageau, I know from the same team, but someone that has term, maybe not necessarily specifically him, but I could see, even ranging further off the board, a Scott Lawton type player that, also could be a fit. Maybe there's some similarities with Adam Lowry, and Adam Lowry's, I think, the quintessential third line center in this league. Him and Jordan Stahl are right up there in terms of reliability, dependability. Obviously the Jets have asked him to do more of late, but I think on a perfectly balanced, well-situated team, you've got Adam Lowry anchoring your 3C spot. You find someone to come in and play that 2C role. And, ideally someone that, as look back to last season, Sean Monahan came in, was a good fit, but then unfortunately you're not able to keep him. And, same thing with some of the other acquisitions that the Jets have made. It's been easier to trade, not as easy to keep some of these guys. And I'm just looking at the pile of cap space. The Jets could have the most cap space in the league this summer, approaching $43 million. They're going to have some real interesting decisions to make this summer in terms of just who they're going after, who they're keeping. And we're going to have to spend a bit just to get to the salary cap floor.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of intrigue going forward. I mean, not just about trade deadline, but as you mentioned, Frank, with the salary cap space that they will have, what the plan will be in the offseason as well by Kevin Cheveldayoff and company. You mentioned Minnesota.
Maybe start with re-signing Kyle Connor. That would be the easiest use of funds if you're going to have to spend.
And it might eat up quite a bit of it too.
Yeah, and look, but he's a good guy to do it with. And I'm looking at, I just heard the stat that you mentioned about Mark Scheifele closing in on the franchise goal scoring record. And the first thing I thought to myself is, okay, that's great, but how long until Kyle Connor passes him?
That's a fair question, 100% fair question. And you were just about to ask this question.
Well, yeah, just about, you had mentioned Minnesota about, potentially being a spot for Brock Nelson. Obviously, they've been in the headlines because of Ryan Hartman and the suspension that he just received, 10 games. Obviously, Winnipeg Jets fans well-versed in Ryan Hartman. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a hefty one, especially after he was offered the opportunity to do the in-person hearing. 10 games. Did it surprise you that it was that length, or about what you expected?
No, my guess was 8, Sarah. And I think 10 just makes sense when you consider his rap sheet and recent history. This is his 5th career suspension. And I just look at that play, and there's nothing about it that's not a hockey play. It's not really defensible. When you see an opponent in a vulnerable position off a faceoff, Tim Stützle is trying to win a draw. He gets low, and you basically you come over top and take his head and smash it into the ice. That's malicious. It's egregious. It's a lot of things that don't really have a place in the game. And so we know that Ryan Hartman has been on the edge. There's been a lot of things that haven't been penalized or haven't been suspended as well. And I think what this does is delivers a really strong message. It's not just the 10 games, it's the $487,000 that are going to be drained from your next paycheck, that it really should send a message that you've got to, walk the line a lot better than you've been.
Well, Frank, the time is coming. The trade deadline is coming. Where can everybody find you on that day? And I hope you guys are busy in a good way when that time comes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so busy, Jamie. I could probably even, I'm all right if you want to go with a quiet deadline. We've got a 4-hour show on Daily Faceoff on our YouTube channel, and you can check out the trade boards and everything coming on dailyfaceoff.com. And really appreciate you guys having me.
Here, a last question for you: how much are you enjoying being your own boss?
I guess that part would be debatable. I think some days I tell myself that I'm my own boss, but there's a lot of days, I'd say every day I wake up in this house that I'm definitely not my own boss. So, just kind of going with the flow here.
Thanks so much, buddy. Appreciate it. And enjoy the break for whatever you get out of it.
See you guys.
Bye, Frank.
Frank Saravalli joining us. He's right. It is busy. Like every day, the show's going up.
Absolutely.
All the time. There's content pouring out of that webpage all the time.
Yeah, a great spot to find line combinations across the league as well. But just really the job that Frank and company are doing there, great job with it. One of the funniest colleagues that I have. There is a great picture that I have. One of my favorite pictures, and I don't take a ton of them.
So he's deceptively funny, right?
Very much so. Dry sense of humor. He's
he seems like very to the point all the time.
He's so funny. So one of my favorite pictures that I have, and I'll pull it up at some point. It was Frank, Pierre LeBrun, and I back in 2018.
Okay.
And it was, I want to say that Pierre had said something, Frank had some sort of comeback, and we are in tears. We were trying to record a hit for SportsCenter with TSN at the time, and literally doubled over laughing so hard. And Pierre wasn't laughing nearly as hard as Frank and I were. But we had tears. It's one of my favorite photos for that reason. Anyways, great job. Does a great job. It is one of the all-time great. So hopefully we're going to see a lot of Frank here in the spring, because he's certainly someone that enjoys coming to Winnipeg.
Well, like Steve Koulias. Like there's a lot of people that haven't been here for a while that need to come back.
100%.
The best time of the year.
Yes.
In this city.
Absolutely.
Playoff time.
Yes. We will get to more on Carolina Hurricanes in a moment. We mentioned Eric Comrie is going to be getting the start in net. The Jets coming home for these next two games. They are 25-3 at home this season. Carolina coming off a loss against LA, very much a shot volume team, something to keep an eye on with them. It will be interesting as well with no Adam Lowry. When you look at the top line that Carolina has now, how does Scott Arniel and the coaching staff with last change, what do they do to try to make sure that they contain Mikko Rantanen, Sebastian Aho, and what happens with faceoffs as well. So it'll be interesting to see tonight how they do. Carolina coming in off of a loss against the LA Kings.
I just saw somebody asking about the lineup. There it is one more time. Not many, no changes except for Eric Comrie coming into the lineup tonight. So further to your point, they did not get the last change, obviously, on the road for those last 3 games. That's why it was so impressive for what they did. There was a lot of skill on the ice. I thought they were going to shut down Alex Ovechkin, keep him off the scoreboard, not allow him to get a little closer to Gretzky's record, but they are the team that he has scored against the most in his career, so it almost seemed inevitable. But other than that, I thought they defended very well. Carolina, same thing, a lot of pressure at both ends of the ice, so obviously you're going to be leaning on the Kapari, Appleton, and Niederreiter line. I'm glad Mason Appleton's okay after taking the slap shot in the ribs, so that's a good sign. He's going to be in the lineup tonight, but lots, even though it's an Eastern Conference opponent, it's just always nice to see where you fit in against another one of those quality teams in the league. Washington was number 2, and as you mentioned a little bit earlier about where the Carolina Hurricanes stand in the standings.
Yeah, and with this being a good transition team, and they're just fast with the pressure, they're able to be opportunistic if there are turnovers and get out of their own zone, clear their defensive zone quickly. So something that the Jets are going to have to be aware of going into this game here tonight. Looking forward to, I'm sorry.
Mike just popped in and then popped out again, so maybe he's not hearing things properly.
Okay, so he'll hopefully be back in a second. In addition to the lines that we had talked about earlier. Just wanted to do an update because people always, wanting to know about the status of Adam Lowry, Morgan Barron. Scott Arniel was asked about today by, I believe, Mike McIntyre from the Free Press. Yes. And he said that neither have been on the ice yet. So this break, in some ways, you look, the Jets have been rolling right now. They've won 6 straight, but this break coming at a good time, I think, for many. They'll see whether or not they are able to get onto the ice towards the end of the break, but still a ways away. So not necessarily the update that we want to hear, but hopefully things moving in the right direction and this 2-week break coming at a good time for them.
Great space filler. Allow Mike Maniscalco to join us from a wonderful spot inside Canada Life Center. I saw you on a podcast a little bit earlier today, so you've been very busy, Mike. Welcome to Winnipeg. I know it's balmy for you. How are things going so far?
Oh, they're great for me. I grew up in Buffalo, so this is absolutely this is springtime for me. So as the Tragically Hip saying, springtime in Vienna. So we'll make that work out for us. So thank you for having me here.
A lot of respect for you in that department. Listen, a lot of intrigue about the Hurricanes right now. Always one of the top teams in the National Hockey League, but they make a huge deal recently. So my question to you is, how are Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall fitting in right now?
It's early. It's only been 4 games for Mikko and 3 for Taylor, who had an illness. But there is advertised, guys. That's what they do, how they play. I think for Mikko Rantanen, 4 games he's leading the team in shots in those 4 games with 17 shots. So that should tell you how he's fit in and what he's able to do. And honestly, he could have had a 4-point night against the LA Kings. Just hockey can be a cruel game at times where the bounce doesn't go your way. And that was the case there. For Taylor Hall, he's really fit in and he's moved his way up. I think that Rod Brind'Amour wanted to get a little bit of a feel for Taylor where he would be a part of this team. And he's now on a second line with Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Andrei Svechnikov. By the way, I saw the question. No, I'm not related to Sebastian Maniscalco. No, I cannot get you tickets when he comes to town.
Tremendous reaction time there, my friend.
We gotta call the. I gotta call the game. It moves fast, so I gotta be able to look at the same time.
You were also getting credit, I want you to know, for the hip reference.
Yeah, lots of that.
Lots of that from the fans. I want to ask you about a Winnipegger, Seth Jarvis, and the season that he has been having. What has been working for him well with the Canes this year?
I just think the fact that he now knows how to play the game and has turned himself into a professional. Like, you go back to his first year, the funniest thing about him making the Canes out of training camp that first year was Rod Brind'Amour kept saying, we couldn't send him back. We couldn't send him back to junior. And the other thing is, he is unapologetically Seth Jarvis. He does not change for anybody. The way that he fits in to the locker room, he's on a line right now with the captain Jordan Staal and alternate captain Jordan Martinook. And I don't remember if you guys are young, so you won't remember the TV show My Two Dads with Greg Evigan and Paul Reiser.
Oh, come on,
Mike. That's all right. We're the same age as you. I'm 50.
I'm just gonna say that reference right there, absolutely for me, topped a Tragically Hip reference. 100%. The respect that I have for you pulling that out.
So, the depth of pop culture. Now, I could have been a doctor or a lawyer. Instead, I can remember that show. So with that said, I think Martinook is more the Greg Evigan character, and Jordan Staal is the Paul Reiser character. But Seth calls him My Two Dads. And he plays well at that line. But the thing for Seth that makes him such a good player is he's willing to get better every year. There's something to work on. He's put himself as a power play player now. He's on the first power play unit, but he's got 3 shorthanded goals this year. And one of the funnier stories was a few years ago, he was joking with Tim Gleason, who runs the defense and the penalty kill, that, put me on the PK. And Tim Gleason's like, not a chance. So he said, one day I just jumped over the boards. What's he going to do once I'm out there? Well, now he's turned into such a valuable penalty killer for this team. And, I think his sense of humor is what's needed in a locker room. He's a guy that every hockey team wants to have in their locker room, just for the off the ice. And then on the ice, he's such a competitor. He's so determined to be great and help his team win. That's what makes him a special player. And now 2 consecutive years where he's gone over the 20-goal mark. I expect him, with the time left in the season, to hit 30 goals again this year.
Okay, so Carolina is one of the more deeper teams in the National Hockey League. They got a deep prospect pool, but one of their prime prospects is in the KHL right now, Alexander Nikishin. Is there any chance as he joins the team this year after the KHL season, Mike?
I would not be the appropriate person to ask this question. That is for the general manager, Eric Tulsky. But what we have heard is that when the KHL season is over, the door is open for him to make an NHL debut and be a member of the Carolina Hurricanes, which would be, for those of you who follow the KHL, he has been one of the, if not the top defenseman in that league the past 2 years. So to what I have heard, and there's nothing solid, the door is open.
Right.
Now, does that gets here? And everybody knows right now there are lots of hurdles to jump over and hoops to go through when it comes to getting players from the KHL. But the hope is that when the KHL season is over, if they can get everything aligned, there'll be a chance to see him play for the Hurricanes this year.
Well, Mike, great stuff, my friend. You're a fan favorite already in your short time on our show, and looking forward to talking to you a little bit later down the road when these two teams play again.
Yeah, we might have to have you back on March 9th.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask for more 80s television show references. So I'll give you the heads up.
That will not be a problem. That will be all set. And hopefully my headphones will work because I have them in. And it was funny because I actually was listening to the hip before I dialed in here. And now I feel like, I love this building, but, they're doing the test for the show tonight. And I'm like, well, I got to find a spot here.
Being there. We understand. We totally understand. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. And I know that those watching right now appreciate it as well. We'll see you later on tonight.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Should be a great game.
Absolutely.
Mike Maniscalco joining us from the concourse. And he's totally right. We've gone over this many times. You think that you have the right spot inside an arena, and then the in-house music comes on as they test everything, and it goes without fail. It's always during the visiting team morning skate without fail.
Well, yeah, now we're past the morning skate portion, but you and I have tried many times to do
Vegas.
That's right. Vegas, it was a real thorn in our side every time we'd go to shoot something, and just wouldn't you know, that was exactly the time that they would start blaring.
3 times, Sarah. 3 times it happened. It was like Darren Millard was up there pushing the buttons.
He probably was.
Guaranteed.
Or Gary.
Yeah, Lawless.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe.
Lawless.
Looking forward to this game here tonight. It is on TSN. You can always listen to it as always on CJOB Power 97 as well. Debuting tonight. Now, So recently we showed you the trailer for the new series that the Manitoba Moose are putting out called In Antlers.
Yes.
Dominic Toninato was the first one. And then tonight you would be able to watch the second episode on Brad Lambert during the Jets game. But here's a quick look.
In pro, it's a lot more video on the details and all the structures and everything. So I think, especially once you get to the NHL level, everyone can skate, everyone can stick handle, everyone can do all that stuff. So being able to set yourself apart.
You make that play right now, that's 4-on-3, that's a number.
Very cool. I think they stole that from us. From the check-in.
Yeah.
That exact same noise. They said, Sarah, we need you to make this sound effect.
That's right.
And now you made a living off of it. Congratulations.
That's what I do in my off days. Looking forward to this game here tonight. As mentioned, there are 2 games left for the Winnipeg Jets before the Four Nations break tonight against Carolina here at Canada Life Center. Then you can catch them again Friday night here at home. Looking forward to this great one here. Top power play in the league versus top penalty kill. Carolina, a team that certainly cannot be messed with. The first of 2 meetings between these clubs this season, but Carolina has been one of the top teams in the league for
long time.
Yes.
Since Rod Brindamore took over in 2018, they've been a phenomenal hockey team.
They have. They've been very consistent. They play the same style, aggressive. It will be interesting, as I had mentioned earlier, to see how Scott Arniel tries to combat that. This is a game where you really wish you had Adam Lowry in as well. Our first look at Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall in Carolina jerseys, but obviously well-versed in what Mikko Rantanen can do as well. So looking forward to this game here tonight. Looking forward to being able to chat with all of you again on Friday one more time before the break happens. And if you are looking for some Jets gear before the break as well, look at us. Huh? We'll just pop out.
I just feel a little taller than you are. Nobody needs to see my face anyways.
It's a real power move trying to stand up there. All right. 50% off, though. You can get it if you are coming to the game tonight or at the True North shops or online as well. They are, as I mentioned, toasty.
Yeah, which is perfect this time of year. And also don't forget, Mark Scheifele a chance to pass Ilya Kovalchuk as the Jets/Thrashers franchise leader in goals. So keep an eye out for that. 2 cracks at it. Be great if you get it done at home.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much to all of you. Great to have so many of you in the chat as well. Looking forward to having Mike back on so that he can make more 80s television show references. To check in. Have a great day, everyone.